Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of the Wednesday Winner FAQ contest. And this is, we're going to continue on here with the questions that you guys were nice enough to send me. Question number 20 was my favorite scrap company or designer. If you watch my haul videos or any of my videos really, you know that my favorite scrap company is Echo Park. There is not a collection out. There was one collection that they've put out since I started scrapbooking that I didn't want. That was Happy Camper, because we don't camp. But I did still buy several pieces of paper from that collection because I could use the B-sides. The great thing about Echo Park is if their A-side is a little bit too overbearing for you, the B-side is always usable. I love Echo Park. They're my favorite company. They don't put out collections that I don't buy. I'm on a spending freeze right now, so they have 2 collections out that I don't have. And that one's bothering me, and they were even on Scrapbook Steals a couple weeks ago, guys, and I didn't buy them. One, because I don't need any more travel paper. Don't need it. And I don't need any more summer paper either. I've got to get rid of this paper before I have to move it. So I'm going to try to get through this paper as much as I can before I have to move it. So Echo Park is definitely my favorite scrapbook company, and my favorite designer is Lori Whitlock. And the reason Lori Whitlock is my favorite designer is because I scrapbook a lot about my kids. And Lori comes out with a lot of designs that are very kid-centric, so that works for me. So Echo Park, Lori Whitlock. But guys, I'll buy them all. You know, Fancy Pants is actually really nice lately. So at first, when I first started scrapbooking, I didn't like Fancy Pants all that much, but I really like them now. A couple of people wanted to know what inspired me to start doing videos, and that would be the videos that I was watching. I got so much inspiration and knowledge from people who were posting videos on YouTube that I wanted to share my own. And believe me, I was just sharing it as a, you know, I had no idea what to expect when I started to do that. But, you know, I've been very happy. It's a very tight-knit, friendly community we have here on YouTube, and, you know, I've been very blessed to have a lot of support from you guys. And like I said, it's crazy to me because I've never considered, I'm a very science-oriented person. I'm a very black and white person. I'm a very, you know, analytical person. So I've never in my life thought that I was creative. But when I first started scrapbooking, it took me a little bit by surprise that I enjoyed it, because I've never been crafty. I've never been creative. You know, I'm not that great a drawer. I don't sing. The whole art part, I'm not very arty, you know. But when I started doing scrapbooking, it was just for me, you know, and I liked the way they looked, so that was great. And then when I started watching YouTube videos, I decided that I wanted to do YouTube videos because, you know, I wanted to share whatever I had to share, like other people were sharing what they had to share. And for someone who considers themselves to not be creative and to not be crafty, to have the response that I've gotten on my YouTube videos has been incredible to me. Like, holy cow, you know? There are still days when I'm like, did you see her layout? She's great. Look at this mess I've made. You know what I mean? We all have the, I think we are always our own worst critics. But again, I always go back to the thing that I say about there are no rules. As long as you like it, that's all that matters. Nobody else has anything to say about your memories and how you keep them. Question 22 is, what technique do you really like that you haven't tried yet? Oh boy. What technique do I like that I haven't tried yet? The problem with that question for me is when I see it on YouTube, somebody does a technique that I like, I either get online and buy whatever it is I need to do it, or try it, or I go to Michael's and buy whatever I need to try it. But I will tell you this. What technique do I really like that I haven't tried yet? I have tried it and failed miserably. I really like what people do with alcohol inks. Like, I really like how they make backgrounds with them, and I love what people do with alcohol inks. Love it. It's fantastic. I can't figure it out. So, I have all the stuff. I've tried it. It's it's turned into a big mess. So if I could learn a technique, I think it would be alcohol inks. I would really like to make some backgrounds with alcohol inks, but I have no idea how to do it. So maybe for one of my Mixed Media Mondays, you guys and I will take tutorials together and try to figure out how to do alcohol inks. Question number 23, is there a certain time of day you like to create or a certain time of day that you can't? So I typically create early in the morning, typically when Stu's still in bed is when I have my time down here. I cannot scrap once I'm tired. You know, a lot of people will scrap late into the night. I can't do that. Once I am tired, I will do voiceovers on the computer. I will do blog posts. I will still be in my scrap room doing things, but as far as making layouts or something like that, I can't do it once I'm tired. Once I hit that, you know, it's all downhill from there of the day. Can't do it. But if I'm down here in my scrap room first thing in the morning, it's quiet, some nice music on, it's great. Question number 24 was how to fussy cut. I wish I knew. Honest to God. I'm getting better at it. The thing you need to remember about fussy cutting is, one, you want to find a pair of scissors that are comfortable in your hand, and you want to use those scissors for fussy cutting every time you do it. So you learn your scissors and you practice, 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 and practice some more. Fussy cutting gets better the more you do it. I'm better today than I was last year. I'm still not, because I don't do it a lot, I'm still not proficient at it. There are people on YouTube, if you Google fussy cutting on YouTube, there are a couple of tips. If you tuck your elbow, and you hold your scissors still and you turn the paper and not the scissors, you get the best cuts. But there are people who definitely are better at that than I am. Just because I don't have the patience for it, I think. Question number 25 is, do I make cards on occasion? I used to make cards all the time. I never made too many process videos. This was before I started process videos that I made cards. I used to make cards all the time. I loved making cards. But now, after I saw what people did with cards that you spent 2 hours making, and it went right in the trash, now it's like I will buy you a card and preserve a memory on a layout page, you know, on a scrapbook page. So, do I make cards? I will make cards for people who I think will appreciate them. My in-laws get the biggest kick out of it when you make them a card. They really like it, and so sometimes I'll make them a card. My niece just hurt her foot, so I made her a card. I thought she would, you know, enjoy that. Sometimes I make cards. The answer is sometimes, but not. It's not one of my project. Life sort of took over my card making time. 26 is, how do you salvage a project? Well, that's a good question. Nicole Jones 911, Nicole said it the best. When you get to a point on a project where you're like, I don't know what's going on with this, it's a mess now, just keep adding stuff to it. It will eventually work itself out. There is something in your brain that, and I never put words to it before until I heard Nicole say it. But to salvage a project, if you keep just layering stuff in a strategic manner, which strategic in my mind means looks good to you, it will eventually turn around. Your mind will lead you in the right direction. You just have to trust it. You just have to let it go and just keep working with it, and it will work itself out. I've had that happen where it's like, oh my heavens, what is this? And then I just keep working with it. The other thing that I do is walk away. If I get to a point where I'm like, oh, this is like worst layout of the year material, I'll just get up and walk away. I'm like, okay, let's go read a book. Let's go watch some television. This isn't working. And when I come back, typically when I come back with fresh eyes, I think of something that will then work. And then if it is totally gone and there is no fixing it, we have digital photos these days, you know? Print it again, start over. Question number 27 is, how do I store die cuts? I store my die cuts. Can you see that? You cannot, and I don't have these embossing powders in me. Okay, maybe I shouldn't put my foot on them anymore. How do I store die cuts? So I have those iris containers. I will do a video on how I store my die cuts so that you can see it, because I don't have any. Do I have any? No, I don't have any on my desk at the moment, but I store them in iris containers. in the little iris containers that are made to hold 4x6 photos. I store them by collection in those containers, and then I keep a photo inventory of them so that I can just scroll through the photos and see what I have. So that's how I store my die cuts, and I will do a more in-depth video to show you that system. Question number 8, what is the most versatile scrapbooking technique? Holy cow! That is a good question. I mean, all the questions have been good. This one's just thought-provoking. What is the most versatile scrapping technique? I think that if you can make your own embellishments out of paper, that is the most versatile scrapbooking technique. Because then you don't need to buy anything else. Like, if you are really good about layering paper and, you know, cutting paper out so that it can be its own embellishment, you can make your own embellishment out of paper, I think that you are a leg up. I think that's the most versatile scrapping technique, because at that point, you really do only need a pen, some paper, and some glue. Okay, question number 39. How bad is your stash? I said to my friend Shelly, when this question came in, I said, someone asked me how bad my stash is. And she was like, tell them to watch the hour-long scrapbook room tour. It's not an hour long, Shelly. It's 30 minutes. But yes, my stash is extensive. But I think that my creativity would be limited if it was less. I know everything that I have. I know where it is. I know how to locate it. And when I sit down to do a layout, I have many options, and so that helps me. I think if I had a limited stash, like only one kit a month or something like that, I think that my creativity would be more stifled. I like having a lot of options, and in my room, even late at night, I don't have to run out to the store and find an embellishment or something like that. I will be able to find something that will work on the layout. So my stash is bad, but it's very organized and it's very usable. So 29 was a question about the Caterpillar Pro. That would be, let me show you. I'm working on a layout for tomorrow. Okay. That would be this trimmer. Oh goodness, it's heavy. That would be this trimmer right here. And a lot of people had questions about it because I always talk about having a love-hate relationship with it, and I did a video. So if you wanted more information about the Caterpillar Pro, you can just go back a couple, I think it was from Thursday of last week or something. You can go back and find that, and it will be there for you. The next question was, how do I keep track of my photos? How do I keep track of the photos I want to scrap and the story ideas I want to scrap? So I want to show you some what are these called? Just some worksheets, I guess, that I came up with that works for how I do this. So I start out with a worksheet that looks like this. And as you can see on this worksheet, it's the year, the date, the event, and then I have this set of questions to answer for myself. So, like for this first one, let me see. Let me go down here. If you see 2/8 of 13 here, and it says this Kansas trip, and it says see worksheet. So some of these, I can pick out the stories right on this worksheet here, and then know that I scrapbooked that event. So I put all of the events that happened for the year down that event list, and then if I can scrapbook them based solely on what I list on this piece of paper, then I do that. However, like for this event here, when we went to Kansas, this Kansas trip, I put C worksheet. And that other worksheet looks like this. So it has multiple days on it. Here, can you see that? Multiple days on it. It has what event it was, and then all of the stories from that event that I want to scrapbook, along with the photos that I've chosen for those stories. So let me show you one that I have. So like as you can see, this was Kids Weekend, and then these are the things that we did. We made pizza, the kids Skyped, they played football. I can't read. That says Gabe is dead because he was outside. Is it going to focus? Okay. Gabe is dead. That's because he was laying out on the grass saying that he died after Mason tackled him, and things like that. So all the stories that I want to scrapbook from that event, I put down on this worksheet. And then what I named the layout, what photos I want to use, and then did I print the photos printed? There you go, are the photos printed, and then is it complete? And then what I did, do I have 2014 here? I think I only have 2013 here. But I've been starting to send my photos to Walgreens or Shutterfly or somewhere to get printed. So what I'll do in this column that says printed, I won't put a check. I will put WG for Walgreens or SF for Shutterfly, so that I know I sent them to the printer, and then, you know, when they come back. So I know that the photos are printed and who printed them. So that's what I do. So I start looking at all of the events for the year, and then if I have to break it down further, I do, here's the events that happened for the year, and then here are the stories that happened during those events, and that's how I keep track. And then, so for this Kansas trip, like I have here that I showed you before, this Kansas trip, I have the date of the Kansas trip, and then I have C worksheet. I will go and fill that worksheet out, and then when that worksheet is filled out, then I will check that all of this is done for that trip. And that's how I keep track. And when I was talking earlier about filing and putting my layouts away, because I know the exact stories and how many of them there are going to be for each of the events that happened during the year, I know exactly where and in which page protector to put them in my binder. And so that may be a convoluted way of doing it, but I do go through all of my photos. I go through all of the events and all of the photos. And then as far as keeping track of the stories, or, you know, the funny things that happened, I'm sorry, my leg's itching. The funny things that happen, I use the Memento app, and I just write notes in there. So like when Gabe came in today and told me and asked me why the flags weren't at half staff for whichever wrestler just died, I will type that in Memento, and I will have it when I go back to scrapbook stuff about today and things like that. So that's what I do. And I will probably be doing, I will probably do a longer video about that. And if you're interested in these worksheets, just let me know. I'll make them available to you. It's no big deal. Question number 31. How do you find products? Well, there's a bunch of enablers on YouTube, and they do these haul videos. And I find a lot of them on there. Then there are a couple of places that I always shop. I shop at 2Ps. I shop at A Cherry on Top. I will shop at Time and Says Stamp. And I will shop at Emma's Papery. And so I look on those 4 places, and those are where I do the majority of my scrapbook shopping online. I will go to Michael's and Joann's as well. But as far as these 2 stamp sets, where I found them, these I bought from 2Ps. And then these from Kate and Company, I actually got from a Lisa Dickinson warehouse sale. That's where they came from. So that's where I find products. I watch YouTube videos and of hauls, and then I go to my 4 favorite online stores and I look at products there. 32, things you need to start Project Life. You don't need a whole lot to start Project Life. It would go back to the same thing you need to start scrapbooking, I think. You know, you need your pen, you need some paper, and you need some photos. And beyond that is your bells and whistles. So what would I start with? When I started to do Project Life, I did get a core kit. If you already have a scrapbooking stash, there is no reason to get a core kit. You can cut your papers and things down to 4x6 and 3x4 just fine. You don't need any kind of special kits or anything like that. I did buy a core kit, but you definitely don't need it if you already have a scrapbooking stash. Now, if you don't have a scrapbooking stash and you're looking to do Project Life, then I would start with a core kit. The problem with the core kits is you get many of the same cards, so there's not a lot of variety, but your book will have a consistent feel to it because everything coordinates. I found that a bit boring. So I then either went to my stash, I subscribed to some Project Life kits, and then I bought more core kits, which I will never, ever use. They're going to bury me with my Project Life core kits. I just want you to know. So the things you need, again, the most important thing about doing Project Life seriously is take photos, take photos, take photos, take photos, take photos, take photos, take photos. Once you do that, document your stories. Even if that's just sitting down before you go to bed at night and jotting down a couple of things that happened today in a composition book. It doesn't have to be something fancy. If you have an iPhone or something like that, you can use an app. I mean, they even have the Notes app that just comes with the phone. You can just jot yourself down a couple of notes about what happened that day. And now you are ready to start Project Life. So that's the main thing. Take your photos, take your photos, take your photos, document your stories, document your stories, document your stories, and then you can get into the bells and the whistles and all of that. So you don't even need the fancy page protectors. I mean, you can use a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock, cut your 2 4 by 6, your 4 3 by 4s, and your other 2 by 6, and use them that way. You don't even need your fancy page protectors. But if you do, you know, you just want to the thing to remember about the page protectors in any configuration is how do you orient your photos when you take them most of the time? Are you a portrait? You know, you take most of your pictures in the portrait orientation, or you take most of them in the landscape orientation. That would be the most important thing when you decide on which page protectors you're going to use. If you decide that you use mostly Instagram photos and they're the square photos, then, you know, there are a lot of options for page protectors out now that are square. They just have the square. So it's a matter of how you take your photos and what type of photos you'll have available. You can very easily use Instagram photos in the traditional Project Life, Becky Higgins class, Design A Project Life book. That's not a problem there. But what do you need? Stories, photos, your paper, and your pen. And then you can go from there. Question number 33. Oh goodness, we're going to have to stop here, and then I'm going to have to come back for like the last 2 or 3 questions. I'm so sorry, but I'm over 20 minutes on this video, and I don't want to go much further than that. So I will be back with part 4. You guys asked a lot of questions. I'm happy about that, but there's just a lot to answer. So I will be back with part 4 in a second. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be right back.